I don't know how you do it.
Like I said, I'm a professional. I've been doing this for a while. I don't make mistakes.
Oh well. That's how it's going now. Hopefully the sound is good enough. Hey, have we been having issues with our videos sharing to Facebook properly?
None of them do, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, like I noticed that we're right up to like episode 16 on there, but all the other ones aren't there yet.
Oh, on Facebook,
On
like the
Facebook.
full episodes?
Yeah.
No. I haven't shared a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
Like I only started sharing them recently, and I had
okay.
deleted all the other ones.
Okay.
So I'd have to rip them off YouTube to share them if I wanted to do that.
Okay, makes sense. Because that's where I'm going to try and do those clips. Is
Yeah.
on there, so I'm feeding through like old ones rather than
Yeah.
our newer videos. Not that it matters. I'm going to ban spread for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I hate Britney Spears' Circus.
The song,
No. The,
film clip.
No. I love the film. I love Britney Spears. I hate her perfume.
Oh, the perfume.
Yeah.
Okay, right. That
So
makes
if
sense.
any girl is wearing that around me, I'll almost be like,
Gag,
'cause
really?
I dated a girl that used
Wore
to wear
that?
that all the time,
Oh, really?
and it didn't end well, and that has stuck with me for a long time. A lot of those Britney Spears. So like, I remember once Kush wore it, and I was like, "You have to
Never wear
die."
that
I mean,
again. That's interesting. I never realised until maybe like a couple months ago how much of an association you draw to certain things, like people, places, things, smells, thoughts,
yeah,
activities.
yeah. Like I really like the way Kush smells. It's weird, but I'm like, must be like the pheromones or whatever. I'm like,
For sure.
Kush is here.
Kush nearly is here.
She is nearly here. I'm so excited.
Only 9 more days.
Mm.
There you go.
Who's counting though?
I'm counting. I'm counting for you in case you're not counting. Do you have a countdown on your phone?
No, I definitely don't. Should I?
Yeah.
Is that something people do?
Yeah.
Huh.
No, don't do that. Definitely don't do that. Yes. Anyway, I feel
Gravity
like
is a bitch.
yeah. I feel like we should we delve into this topic
We can.
on the podcast?
Anyway, hey Opinion Nation, welcome to episode 23 of the Uneducated Opinions podcast. I'm your host Andy, and this is your co-host Steve. We're both co-hosts. It's hard to say co-host, like host, co-host, host. I don't know. This is a podcast about everything and anything.
Anything and everything.
We're two guys. Basically, it's a pub conversation where we talk about things that we have no reason to talk about, and usually have no idea what we're talking about. Such as this case.
Yeah. So the argument we're going to go back into, I don't even know if you would call this training related, or whether if we're just going to say that this is a shitty physics conversation. But in which case, if it's a physics conversation, we have no right talking about it because it's uneducated as shit. But the discussion that we're having is whether if you can put more, or where it started was whether or not you can put more force into the ground or more force output through your body when moving uphill versus moving flat. And my, I guess, opinion on that was because when moving uphill, I feel like you're at a more mechanically advantageous point because it requires a little bit more vertical force rather than just horizontal force to move. And that's why I believe that just due to that mechanical advantage, by comparison, I think you should be able to output a little bit more force.
I was thinking just then that you're a fucking nerd. No, I was actually thinking, is the contact time
Greater?
factor because like you're going to be contacting the ground for longer, so ground force is going to be greater.
Okay, that's a good point, but I guess that I feel like this is why it's frustrating me that you're not saying it from my point of view.
Yeah.
Is because I feel like that statement in itself almost proves that what I'm saying is correct.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't disagree with you.
like
I
the
just
f-
don't
like,
know.
like the fact that you make the inference that you're going to be in contact with the ground for longer means that you're also making the inference the reason you're in contact with the ground for longer is because in some way, shape or form it is requiring more force for you to move upwards. Like, force is the wrong word, we've discussed this. Like, it's requiring more work output for you to move upwards just based on the
Wait,
pure fact that
are
you're...
you saying like effort is higher?
No, I'm
Work
saying...
output is like effort.
No, I'm saying work... Yeah, but you could perceive effort as not necessarily being...
You find a word that
Work output. Work output's good. Work
Okay.
output works. That's fine. Work output works. Work output is a good word for
so your
this.
work output is
Is
greater,
greater.
running up a hill than it is running on flat land.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
And part of the reasoning is because if you're running downhill, it's easier. Like work output is less. Is that part of your argument?
I would argue that, yeah, I guess.
Okay. Well, that's all we have time for today.
Anyway, it was a shitty conversation that led down a million rabbit holes that none of which had anything to do with the original question. But yeah, anyway, as you move further away from the center of the Earth, gravity is affected more.
Yes, as I've heard. But like the biomechanics of that is probably the most important factor. Like the musculature involved is different when running on a hill versus running on flatland, especially the greater the gradient, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, what I was really pumped about the other day was the rear stepping lunges.
Hmm?
Like your rationale for doing rear stepping lunges over like a walking lunge or a forward stepping lunge.
Yeah.
I really like that. Just like muscle, like sequencing of like the motor pattern is very interesting to me.
You like that one?
I really like that one.
Why? Explain it.
Just
Because
like,
people,
so
you're saying something to me that no one else
so
has
like
something
your rationale is like a forward momentum walking lunge.
Yeah.
Is very anterior dominance, like lots of quads, but there's also like shearing forces of the knee and probably overactivation of like the muscles in it, like off across the shin
Like
as well,
tibant and stuff.
tibant, peroneals, all of that. So it is good for certain things
It depends on what your goal is.
on what your goal is.
Yeah.
But generally, when we're looking for, as Olympic weightlifters or even sports specific, we're trying to create stronger posterior, so that it adds in the stability of the knee joint, the ankle joint, and the hip joint. Because those are the musculature that in the greater population are generally weaker.
Yes.
Right? So, and those are the things that actually guard against injury. Like, strong quads, like, never saved anyone.
In fact, they hurt a lot of people.
In fact, they hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, like, it is worthwhile to go backwards because then you're actually, as you stand back up, you're almost thinking, and even the cues they use where you're like pulling that foot back,
Yeah.
really creates.
I was going to say, important if anyone, not that I think anyone does, but if anyone is listening and thinking,
If anyone's listening.
yeah, if anyone were to listen and think, I'm going to change to a rear stepping lunge based on the rationale that Andy's just given, it's important that you cue and perform the movement properly. So it would be very easy if you think about doing a rear stepping lunge in the same way as what you maybe do a forward stepping lunge. You might step back and then drive off your front leg to stand tall from the bottom of the lunge, and then you'd end up pushing off your back leg, still quad dominant and probably a little bit of
Forwards.
calf to push forwards to your foot. Whereas the cue that we're using and trying to get you to do is when you step back and drop the knee, you want to think about using your front heel to drag your body forward. So you want to try and imagine you're digging your heel in and trying to drag your heel back towards your center of gravity. But obviously because you're connected to the floor, that's going to move in opposite and it's going to force you forward to the front foot. So you're more dragging with your hamstring and your glute and using a hip extension and almost knee flexion versus what you would be doing, which would be hip flexion and knee extension, which is not what we're trying to get.
And like, if you were to watch someone doing that well, you'd almost see that the torso and the bar just go straight up first.
Yes.
Rather than usually if you have a forward stepping lunge, that torso and bar will
Move
come forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's the same thing with the jerk. So like when a jerk recovery, we don't want any forward or backward motion of the torso and bar. We just want to go straight up
Yeah.
before recovery.
yeah, for sure. And same as even, well, I guess that's a different point, but I was going to say on the jerk, you want to dip straight up and down as well and then shift. Yeah, you don't want the torso any forward or backwards deviation. A good way to, I guess, practice the feeling of that, and it's something that I use a lot as an accessory, would be a forward sled drag with the either in a harness or even a strap around the hips, and thinking about keeping your chest up and reaching forward out in front with your foot and digging your heel in and trying to drag yourself forward. So by keeping your chest up, you don't allow your feet to come back behind your center of gravity and push you forward. So you need to actually, when your chest is up, you need to reach out and drag forward with your hamstrings. It's a really good drill that a lot of sprinters and stuff use as well. A lot of runners use it.
Or like a heel toe prowler push.
Heel toe prowler push works. Heel toe prowler push is
But
hard.
it's different because it's leant over as well.
Yeah. Also, I would get people. I do a lot of if I do a heel toe prowler push because I don't have a strap or whatever, or I'm being lazy.
Yeah.
Like the ones that you've got me doing at the moment in my program when I don't have a leg press, rather than hinging over and
Try to
bending
stay upright.
myself, I actually just dig my wrists into my hips because I've got quite tall handles and try and step like that
Oh
instead.
yeah, that works.
Yeah. But I could see also you're doing it as a sub for like a posterior focus leg
Yeah.
press, so I guess I probably could afford to get over,
As
and
well.
that would change the movement.
Yeah, because that's just like aggressive hip extension then.
Yes. Yeah.
More so than,
But then I might fall over.
you know, you either get strong or die trying.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We had, I want to say thank you before we get into any of the topics that I wanted to hit today to one person in particular, Claire.
Clary Bear,
Claire
44.
Bear. Yeah. Is it 44? Is it 45? Is that the year she was born?
I don't know.
She looks good for her age.
So Claire Sutherland.
Yeah. She posted yesterday and put up a whole bunch of. So she posted yesterday with a whole bunch of topics for us to discuss on
It was one
an
topic.
episode. One topic. No, she put up 3 different topics.
Ah, the one you shared was one topic.
No, it was 3.
What was it? What were the topics?
Flat Earth theory.
Ah,
How far is too far? Asking for a discount.
yeah.
And then the third one. Do you remember the third one?
was bargaining.
Is that the only one you remembered?
I only remembered the discount
The
one.
discount one? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I feel like we can hit that one. Never too far. If
Well,
you can
I
get-
actually have a lot of thoughts about this.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. How far is too far if there is too far when asking for a discount, Andy? I feel like this is a multifaceted
Yes.
thing.
And I even have in my head how you would break this down.
Okay.
But
Go.
do you want to talk about flat Earth?
No, we can approach Flat Earth later. Because I feel like Flat Earth ties in really well to our gravity discussion.
Also, a running joke on It's Uneducated, counterparts in America,
Yeah.
in some way, is that they always tease that they're going to talk about flat Earth in every episode, and they never do. They're like, on this week's episode, we're talking about flat Earth,
That's great.
and then they never do.
Flat Earth is actually really funny because, anyway,
Yeah.
because people that have flat Earth, like some of the theory, it's like anything though. It's like moon landing being a conspiracy. It's like 9/11. It's like any one of those conspiracy theories. Every now and then someone says something and you go, Nah, you're an idiot. But you initially
Well,
go,
if
maybe.
the Earth was flat, then we wouldn't have like great hills to run up.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, also moving further away from the center of the Earth would be mute point.
A mute point or a moot point
Moot.
or a moo point.
Moo point. It's like a cow's opinion. It doesn't matter.
Is that from Friends?
Yeah. What does moot mean?
I don't know.
Don't know.
But I was trying to remember the Friends joke.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Anyway, to discuss, Andy.
Okay.
What is your multi-tiered system for bargaining?
Okay, so this is complicated, but the idea of bargaining, right, comes across because we talked about supply and demand in like episode 3,
Yes.
right? So each party comes to a table to make agreement on like the sale or purchase of goods, and coming to the table with a bargaining mindset means that the consumer has a surplus of money that they're willing to part with, and the seller has a surplus of like value
Goods.
of the goods that they're willing to part with.
Yeah.
Right. Now, each of these two parties has a different estimation of what the value is. So you have to take into account that in certain products, the value of a product is not predetermined, it's not fixed. It's actually a sliding scale. So the idea of bargaining is that that sliding scale is different for every single person. Something like a coffee, everyone sort of agrees that, you know, between $2 to $5 is a reasonable price. Correct? So there's not going to be that much bargaining there. But as the value of product gets greater, that changes because your estimation of what's worthwhile is different from mine. And so in a lot of cultures, that's why bargaining shows up a lot more.
Well, we're not very big. Like they've said this before. Like haggling isn't big in Australia.
No.
Like it's a very people go a lot of people go in and they just pay whatever the product was valued at on the day, like in the store. But it's quite funny because if you actually do have the guts to go in and go, hey, can you guys do this TV that's valued at $1,500 for $1,300 for me, they'll come back and go, oh, we can do it at $1,350 for you. And because I feel like in a lot of like big stores, especially electronics stores or I guess not necessarily services but goods, in a lot of goods they've got a wholesale price that they did it for, and then they've got a where they're setting it above that, and then they've kind of got a range that they're already willing to come to. Like they've already said, okay, this is what we want to sell it for, but we're going to put it for this because every person's going to come in and go, oh, okay, I'll pay for that. But then the odd person that comes in and tries to bargain, we can go, oh yeah, we can give you this deal. Yeah. Even though they're definitely still making money on it, otherwise they wouldn't give it to you. Well, but to go to your supply and demand, is what you're saying, if there was a limited supply on something and still a large demand for it, coming to the table trying to bargain's silly. Yeah. Because they're going to have people that are going to pay the full price, so why would they sell it to you for cheaper?
Yeah, so a seller allowing for bargaining is him deciding that there's enough surplus of customers that the sliding scale will always benefit him. So in that, let's say we have the coffee and he sets a sliding scale, it means that a richer person who values that product more is going to pay more, and then the person with a little less money who values the product a little bit less but still needs it will buy it for less. But at the end of the day, he's still selling it, so he's actually just going, okay, if the person buys it for $5, that's amazing. But I'm also just happy to sell it for $3. I'm still getting my profits worth.
You're still making a profit. There's still a margin there.
There's still margin there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always make more coffee. It's like so it's only if the product is at risk of running out, really. Like, so if you use like an electronics store, for an example, like they're always going to get more computers back in. So like selling to you as a little bit cheaper, they're getting to restock the shelves and someone else can come in and buy it for more expensive. They're not feeling like they're going to lose money or potential money by selling it to you for cheaper.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. As long as they're not losing money and they're still making money, then I think they're going to be happy to do that.
Okay. So what point do you draw the line on bargaining
Okay.
as a buyer?
So then you also have to take into account like cultures. So different cultures are, like you said, more into haggling than other cultures. Some cultures is actually rude to not haggle. Like it's so ingrained. And some cultures, it's rude not to enter a business relationship before you start haggling. So, for example, like in China, haggling over food is like a no-go because it's a necessity.
Yeah.
Whereas haggling over any other good is fine. Or in, I think in Japan, like you want to enter into a business relationship first and actually like talk and buy and sell and then haggle later. Like as the business relationship continues.
Yeah.
So it all depends. Now we're going to bring this to Australia, where haggling is something that is not endemic in our culture, but we're a culture that is very much like built on immigrants, and a lot of immigrants are hagglers by nature.
Yeah.
I think twice to 3 times. Any more than that is too much.
Twice to 3 times trying to get them to come down. So what's your...
Percentage values?
Is there a percentage value?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Like, would you say there is?
No, not really.
Because you have to understand. So, like, let's say we have a product that is $100. $100 is easy to calculate from. $100. We know, like, 10% GST. So, like, really, the product is selling for $90. We wear the cost of that 10, but the government takes it. Then you've got the cost of like the product itself.
GST isn't a dodgy tax.
Sorry?
GST isn't a dodgy tax.
Isn't?
No. Perfectly reasonable.
Okay. No, but I wasn't saying anything about it. I'm just saying like it's
No,
there.
I was saying it is.
Oh, it is dodgy, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got the like, and then you've got like the cost of like staffing, all of that, which can, actually be quite large. So it also depends on the sheer volume of product that you're selling. I think Claire used the example of a car though, which is a big ticket item, which is very much a lot of people will bargain on.
Yeah, well, it has a lot of room to bargain as well, which 100%, if you're buying, that's one of the things that also where I think, where is the acceptance on bargaining? I know you've sort of already touched on it, but it depends on the value of the product, right? So the greater the value of the product, the more room there should be for the more acceptance there is on bargaining. So if I'm going to spend $40,000 on a car, it should be expected that I'm not going to walk in and go, yep, I'll take that for $44,999. I'm going to walk in and go, what's your best price on that? Because I'm not paying $44,999.
Who's the impetus on to set a starting price? Who has the impetus to set the starting price? Like,
well, the seller has already set the starting price by having it on sale.
Yeah. So, but you walking in and saying what's the best price you can do is not a good bargaining tactic.
No, going in and saying, will you do it for me for 35?
Yes, that's a better bargaining tactic. Because then that gives the seller an idea. So I think it's not that there is a certain amount of times or discounts that you can ask. I think if you both are communicating well,
Mm.
bargaining goes down well.
Mm.
That would be my rationale.
Yeah.
So like if you walk in and say, what's the best price you can do this for?
Mm.
That's a shitty way to bargain. But if you walk in and say, oh, can you do this for 35? And they're like, actually, no, like this is the reasons we can't do it for 35,
Yeah.
but we can do it for 40 because it was 44,999, right?
Mm.
40. And then you go, okay, 40 is much better than 44, but I can't actually afford that if I'm going to do these things. Like I want to get these floor mats, these, everyone has power steering now, so I want roof racks, and I want this, you know, gold. I want this custom number plate.
Yeah, yeah. Is it a 21-year-old girl buying this car?
Can we just include that for this price of 40,000? Then your guy comes back and says, hey, we can include this, this, and this, but not the number plate because that's actually the RMS's issue, not.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then you go, okay, that seems fair. Or if you're a crazy person, you go, no,
Yeah.
I'm walking out here.
Yeah. See, I actually don't mind what's your best price as a bargaining tactic because
I hate it.
you hate it.
As a seller, I hate it.
You hate it as a seller. Yeah. See, I.
Tell me what you value my product at,
Mm.
and then I can either tell you, like, hey, that's okay, or hey, fuckwit, like don't
I think
value me so low.
Yeah. It depends. It depends a little bit on the product as well. So as a seller in some relationships, as a seller, for example, a gym membership.
Yeah.
As a seller, you need to have a relationship with clientele. And a lot of people obviously say that even in selling a car, for example, you need to try and build a relationship with your clientele because that's how you get the best sales. But from a buyer's point of view as well, I don't really care about you as the salesperson. I'm trying to just save money on the product that I'm trying to buy. So despite the fact that it pisses you off when I go in and go, hey, what's your best price? That is a good way for me to go, hey, what's your best price? And you go, we can do it for 43. And then I go over to the other Toyota dealership on the other side of town and go, hey, what can you do this for? And then he goes 42. Then I can come back to you and go, why does he say he can do it for 42 and you're telling me you can only do it for 43? What's your actual best price? Because otherwise I'm going over there. And you go, yeah, okay, we can do it for 40 and a half. And then I go back to him.
Yeah.
And like, at the end of the day, as much as, this is my opinion on bargaining a little bit, as much as it may be a little bit of like a low shot to people to keep bouncing back and forth between people, at the end of the day, you're potentially saving yourself $2,000 or saving yourself $6,000. And from a buyer's point of view, how important is the seller's opinion of you? Is it $4,000
Yeah.
important? Because if it is, by all means, like, have that awesome relationship with the seller and shake his hand at the end and say thanks for dealing with me and screwing me out of $4,000. But, or you can not have as good a relationship with the seller, but you save yourself $4,000, which to me, I'm probably never going to see that seller again.
Yeah.
They're still making money. If they weren't making money, they wouldn't have given you the price in the first place. They wouldn't have allowed you to come down to that. So that's, in my opinion, a little bit like, why would I potentially lose money myself just for the sake of maybe being a little bit nicer about it?
Yeah. So I truly used to, like, I'm Sri Lankan. Like, bargaining is in, like,
You're
dark. Like, if you're a car salesman and you see, like, one of us coming, you're probably like, fuck, I'm in for a hard trial. Because, like Sri Lankans, Indians, like, all of us, like, we're very much known for doing exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
And being, like, the shittiest customers to deal with.
Yeah.
Now, what I was talking about is not about gym memberships or, like, aquarium stuff. It's more so about, like, selling stuff on, like, Facebook Marketplace or whatever,
yeah.
where people will just ask you, like, so let's say I'm selling, you know,
This TV.
this TV, like, so, you know, I'll put it up the price as, like,
Does the TV come with the Uneducated Opinions background?
it does now.
Okay.
But let's say we're selling this for $200,
Mm.
someone will come up and be like, "Hey, what's the best price?"
Mm.
And I'll be like, $200.
Mm.
Dude, this is like a $5,000 TV. We're selling for it's not, but like
Yeah, yeah.
$5,000 TV we're selling for $200.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, okay." And like
That's it.
they've got nowhere to go. So
Yeah.
as a bargaining tactic, it's not actually a good tactic.
Yeah, but that example, I would agree, it's not a good tactic. But that's because you only have one person selling one TV. You don't have the ability to then go over to another thing. Whereas if you're looking at buying a car, for example, you can go to two separate Toyota dealerships, buy the exact same product, get a quote for the exact same product, and go back and say, look, why are they doing it for this, and you're saying you can only do it for this, and that forward. Whereas I don't have someone selling the exact same TV on the Facebook Marketplace where I can go, okay.
I think it's in your best interest as a buyer, like if you want to get the best deal, to make an offer that starts the bargaining off. Because if the seller makes the first offer, you're already on the back foot.
But then how are you getting at what point? That's a good question to follow on.
So, like, do you know the reason why cars have such a huge room for bargaining?
Tell me.
So the real reason with all those big ticket items is that no one truly knows the value of the cars, and no one knows enough about cars to make a value assessment on them.
Yeah, yeah. So my question though is, if you're going to make the first offer,
Yeah.
what percentage or how low do you go on your first offer? Because obviously, if you're going to make the first offer, you want to make sure you go below what they're willing to sell for their best price. You want to make sure you go below that, but also you need to be very careful about not lowballing so much that people go, yeah, you're a joke.
Yeah, so you would take into account, and you'd be able to Google all of this information. But like I said, you start at the top. Like, what's that red? Is it red line that you can look at the value of cars?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so like you'd look up the value of the car. You'd look up car sales, like what cars are going for. I think like a secondhand, like if you're going for a secondhand car, really easy. Also, never buy a brand new car. Are you crazy? Like, what a waste of money. Like, they depreciate so quickly. Sorry.
I bought a brand new car.
Yeah, what a waste of money. Have you paid it off yet?
No,
Are you in debt?
a little bit.
Okay. No, I'm very anti getting yourself in debt.
Yeah.
I just think it's for like financial freedom. You don't need to have a lot of money to live, but if you're in debt,
You
like
do.
it sucks.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I'd like to live my life as much as possible. And like I have like
But can
lots
you
of credit cards.
can you not look at paying rent as essentially being in debt somewhat? Because if you sign a 3-year lease for a place, you are in debt for the total sum value of that 3 years. In the same way that you're in debt for a 3-year portion of your 30-year mortgage. Because if you're going to lease I understand, and I know because we've had this discussion before, like you have other things on top of like rates and everything that you need to pay on a property when you're already also paying off a mortgage on a property that you own. But by renting for the remaining 20 years of your life, no, you didn't find that funny? Okay.
I'm so wrapped up in the actual.
For the remaining however long of your life, if you've got another 60 years left and you're going to rent for those 60 years, by the end of the 60 years...
I'm sorry, I didn't laugh.
Yeah. By the end of the 60 years, have you not essentially been in debt for that 60 years because of the amount of money that you've had to pay in rent week by week?
No, because it's not classified as debt. It's a liability.
Okay, it's not classified as debt, but it's...
Like you're indentured to pay it, but it's also very easy to break. Like leases are super easy to break. What's not easy to break is a mortgage. That shit you take to the grave or bankruptcy. I think there is a time and place to go into debt, and mortgage is potentially one of those. And there are there are calculations you can do to decide whether leasing or buying is the best option for you. And you can calculate that quite easy.
I downloaded that book this morning, so it's funny that we're talking about it now.
What book?
That I Can Get You Rich.
I'll Teach You to Be Rich. Yeah, I just got it over there.
Oh, I'm glad I just downloaded it.
But you want to listen to it, right? You're not
I'll listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good listen. It's like a shitty read. No, it's actually a really good book. He's Indian too, and he actually talks about bargaining in his book. Yeah.
And how important it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because he's Indian.
Yeah. It's really funny. He's a super funny guy. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, leases. Yeah. So like, there's a time, but like I think car leases are very frivolous.
Maybe. I also look at it at another way where you buy a car, for example, that I've bought. Yeah, I know it's a very shitty way of doing it. I understand that, but it is kind of, for me personally, a little bit like, even though it's depreciating in value, I understand that it is a little bit like a forced saving, because by the end of the lease, like for me.
Wait, you're on a car lease?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's different to buying a car and being in debt for it.
No, sorry. I'm financing it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not on a lease. I'm financing it. So by the end of the financing, like, it's money that I probably would have spent and not saved, because I'm a terrible saver. Whereas in this point of view,
you should be better at saving.
Yeah, I should be better at saving. It's money that's coming straight out of my account. It's not that much a week. I barely notice it. And then at the end of the 4-year finance, I'll sell that, have $23,000 that I'll just buy a second-hand car with, and then have a little bit of money left over to save. Just chuck straight into.
Why wouldn't you just keep this?
Sorry?
Why wouldn't you just keep this after 4 years? You already own it. Why would you go back into debt?
Because I'm not going to go back into debt. I'll buy something with the money. But because after that 4 years, a Hilux doesn't depreciate that much. It depreciates a lot as soon as you go out the door.
Yeah.
But if I can sell that before it hits 100,000, I'm going to get a lot more money for it than trying to sell it at 200,000 when I want to change a car.
Yeah, that's fair. I still think cars are frivolous purchases, but I understand if there's utility in it as well. So, example, like for me, there is utility in my car because I use it for work. For Shannon, there's utility in his car. So having like a decent car actually very much helps him. But for someone like you, like,
no, for tax purposes, that is utility.
Don't need a ute.
Being serious, yeah.
But like the other value that it adds, like the ability to go forward driving, which is a passion of yours.
Yeah.
The ability to go hunting, do all that stuff. The ability to pick up chicks. Because you got a cool Hilux, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand that. And I often look back at that particular purchase and go, but also I'm now going to argue for it so that I feel better about it.
Yeah, that's fine. I honestly, I like nice cars. Like, Frank got a new car today and I went out, I was like, oh, let me see it. And he's like, oh, do you want to drive it? And I was like, no. But like, so like cars, like I like them and I appreciate them, but I'm also not someone who like puts a lot of stock into like fancy cars.
You also, though, I mean, I'm sure yours hasn't really cost you that much, because it seems to, I don't know how much work you have to put into your car. Not much. And it seems to run fairly true for you. But the other side of the coin is I buy a Navara for $8,000 secondhand. It's got 180,000 Ks on it. And then every year it costs me another $2,500 in services and repairs because things keep breaking. Or I buy the new car, it costs me $180 a week. By the time it hits the 4-year mark and I've finished financing it, it hasn't cost me a cent in services, really, apart from the once every 3 months it goes in for a $200 service at the mechanic. It hasn't cost me a cent in engine breakdowns, anything like that. Whereas that second-hand car over that period of time, that 4 years, has probably cost me another $7,000, having to do the turbo once, the head gasket once, something. And at the end of that 4 years, I can sell that. It hasn't cost me an extra cent. I get back more than half what I paid for it. That's probably just because it's a Hilux though, not necessarily because it's another car. And it hasn't cost me a cent in repairs.
So I think to take this back to bargaining, those are all things that you would take into account before buying the car as well. So the main problem as a buyer is that you don't have enough information.
Yeah.
So like I would go online and be like, how much, like just type in how much is this car really going to cost me?
Yeah.
And there will definitely be formulas there that will tell you like the future cost of your car. So you could like when you bought your ute, you might have done this, but you can calculate what I'm actually going to end up paying for the 4 years that I've owned this car, in servicing and stuff, and then you can compare it to what you would pay because you've had an old car before, so you know how much it costs to keep that thing running.
Yeah.
And you can calculate how much that is, and if it's greater, then you go cool. If the peace of mind is more, you can put a value on that too. That's why people buy like expensive cars, right? Like, you know, people are like, oh, I'm going to buy a Toyota over a Mitsubishi or whatever. You're like, there's a certain value on that peace of mind too.
That it runs well.
Yeah. You know, you're paying for branding as well.
Yeah,
like, why are you not buying, like, why I don't buy an LDV van over a Hiace, even though my Hiace is a lot older. Like, I put a lot of stock on the fact that Toyota Hiace has run forever.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, for
Touch
sure.
wood. Hopefully mine doesn't break today.
Yeah. How long's it been since you get yours serviced as much as you should?
Yeah.
Do you service it yourself?
No.
No? Who do you take it to?
I just mechanic up the road. Next door.
Next door, okay. Oh, there you go. Do you have a good relationship with him?
Yeah. Do you have a better mechanic? Do you have a better mechanic you're selling me on?
No.
Ah.
No, I'm not going to sell you on anyone. No.
Because I'm always looking for a deal.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. Culture.
No, I just like, actually, you know, I'm weirdly loyal with...
You're fine.
I'm weirdly loyal with stuff.
So am I. Yeah,
Like,
almost to a fault sometimes.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I'll go to a mechanic for like years and like only change because of like absolute must.
Yeah, like I will go back and without question buy tyres next time I have to do tyres off the guys at McGrath's Hill that I got these tyres off just because they did me a good deal on these ones. And they could screw me on the next one because they won't remember me. But like, I'll be like, oh, they did me a good deal, so they'll look after me again. And I'll just go over there and do it.
Yep,
without thinking
exactly
about it.
The same.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I will pay more for things. Like I value service above a lot, mainly because like I guess I work
in the service
industry.
Yeah.
And like even when I was working in retail, like I really enjoyed it when I got a customer, when I had a good relationship with a customer.
Yeah.
So if I can have that with a buyer, like I will like that a lot.
There's a guy at, I don't know if he listens. If he does listen to this, he'll know who he is and he'll hopefully bring it up with me. But he kept going into the Nike store at Rouse Hill, and he was going in there. He went in to buy a shirt once, right? And then there was this good-looking chick that worked in there.
Yeah.
And he ended up chatting to her and whatever, and they were chatting about shoes and that sort of thing. And he bought himself a new pair of shoes as well when he'd gone in for the shirt and only the shirt, just because he ended up talking to this good-looking chick.
Yeah.
And then he went back in there like a week later because he was going to ask her for her number.
Yeah.
And he started talking to her again, chickened out a little bit on asking her for her number, ended up buying another pair of shoes. And then left. Anyway, he eventually did ask her for a number and actually went out with her.
Oh, really?
For a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah.
Which is funny. And then he decided he wasn't that interested anyway. But that was a like $400 phone number.
Wow. Well, I guess it's
How good is that service though? Like from a marketing point of view.
yeah, it's value judgment. So like I used to work in door-to-door sales,
Mm.
and
Wow, you're a wanker.
So I understand. I understand like the douchery that goes along with sales and selling.
Yeah.
And you know, like the pretty girls
Mm.
would kill it.
Mm.
The
For sure.
ethnically ambiguous men,
Mm.
like that, potentially may, rob and come back later and murder you with bombs, screaming, crazy languages. They didn't do as well. So I didn't sell much.
Did you actually not sell much?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I'm pretty charismatic.
Did you have
but, like,
KPIs?
No, because you sold your.
What were you doing?
I sold energy.
Okay.
So I was like, "Hey, have you heard of Australian Power and Gas? What are your rates that you're currently on? 12%. That seems high. I can get you down to 10%. Would you like me to come in and explain this to you? No? Well, you know what? I can just check your meter, and we'll see what rate you're on if you don't really know. You can't check your meter and see that. You don't need to know your bill." We did a lot of dodgy stuff.
Mm.
In fact, Australian Power and Gas got fined shitloads because of the company I worked at, I'm pretty sure.
Because of you, solely you.
No, I quit. I quit really quick. I only worked there for like
Why?
2 months. Because I hated it. It felt so gross and disgusting to do. Like, because like you have to think that the people that are like buying this are like old women,
Yeah.
old men. Like,
Yeah. Who just take people at face value?
Yeah. And, we had nice suits on and
Yeah.
looked fancy.
Seemed like a
and
nice guy.
Professional. We seemed like nice people. I feel bad for like
You seem like a nice person on this podcast sometimes too.
sometimes. That's because I've done all the bad stuff, and I'm a nice person now. I'm a reformed person.
What kind of bad things have you done, Andy?
Nothing. But yeah, back to bargaining.
So now that we're in this psychiatry session, back to bargaining. Yeah, so I think the key take-home points is if you're from a nation which supports bargaining, you're allowed to, and if you're not, you just pay full price.
What? That's the key takeaway?
What would you say? How would you sum up our bargaining topic? If you were allowed to have one and
I'd
a
say
half
20
minutes,
to 30%.
20 to 30%.
Yeah.
That seems high.
Well, 10% is already GST, so they've already inbuilt that into the system.
So if you get the 10% off,
Yeah.
and you get the
So you get the 10% off.
so you're no longer paying GST.
Yeah.
Does that mean they just pay GST?
Yeah, or you
So
pay
they're
cash.
they're footing the bill.
Don't pay GST.
Can you imagine trying to buy a car with cash?
Yeah, I've bought all my cars with cash.
Yeah, but you're buying second hand.
Yeah. But even at a dealer, I'd be like, will you do better for cash?
Yeah.
And I would pay cash if I could afford it.
That's funny. But you'd never pay cash, man. Not for big purchases.
You don't know how much cash I...
This car is now off the books as well.
No, but you do want to... Like, you can do that. Because even places like the good guys, they will still do better for cash, even though they'll just wear the 10%.
Are they doing that out of tradition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll still declare that and wear it, but they're just doing it out of tradition.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
And then you see like small stores and stuff that are like still hidden, like in Auburn or something, and like it's like cash only, like for food and stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's because you're pocketing 35% of all that cash.
When I worked in
not
when I
claiming it.
worked in retail, we did the 10% for cash.
Yeah.
And it'd just be like, hey boss, here, put this in your pocket.
Yeah. And then did you guys get a percentage of that?
No, we didn't work on commissions.
Do many like small retail businesses work on commission?
It depends on the managers and ownership. Like,
Yeah.
if they value like sales above everything else, they will.
Yeah.
I often wonder whether like having commission-based retail is good for sales or if it breeds a bad culture of like,
Bad rapport with clients and stuff.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah. You know what I realised about myself the other day? I'm a really easy sell. Like, I'm not a hard sell at all. And I came to this conclusion when I sat down to have breakfast and I ordered my meal and I had ordered my coffee, ordered my eggs Benedict, and then the girl had taken the menus from me and was about to leave, and she goes, "Did you want any sides with the eggs Benedict?" And I was like, "Give me back the menu." And I ordered 3 sides. I wasn't going to order a single side at all, and she was just like, "Do you want a side?" And I paid an extra $12 for sides.
Wow. Was she pretty?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a pretty waitress as well. Or waiter.
Mm.
Actually, I'd sucker for good-looking people. Like even men, if they're like really charismatic and like they would like say something nice to me, I'd be like, oh, and I will buy it all.
Buy everything.
Buy everything.
So I think we should close on that topic of you being a little bit in touch with your feminine side.
Yeah, 20 to 30%. That's my final offer.
20 to 30%.
Final offer.
Wait, what does that work out to be though?
Take it or leave it.
Off a $50,000 car, you're talking about paying between 35 and 40.
Yeah.
That seems like a big
No,
chunk.
that's what you asked for.
Oh, to begin with.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough.
Where you end.
So on a $50,000 car, I would maybe go 25, and I'd go, I want 37,500. Be a good starting point.
Yeah, because that gives you enough value to that makes it look like you're not just a joke, but also makes the seller will take you seriously, and then the buyer can be like, cool,
Okay. From now on, I'm going with 25%.
good start.
Cool. Alrighty. Thanks for listening to Uneducated Opinions, episode 23.
Oh, Claire, tell us if you liked our answer or not.
Oh, yeah, Claire, tell us if you like the answer or not. We're going to go back to flat earth theory next week.
We still haven't talked about that education system.
Flat earth theory and education system potentially next week, unless we decide on something else. If you guys have any topics for us to talk about, chuck it up on your Instagram story, tag us. We'll go through.
That was really fun.
Yeah, that was a fun topic.
That actually kept me up at night last night thinking about.
Did it?
Yeah, because I studied this and like
At uni?
at uni. Yeah.
Yeah, I always forget that you did a degree.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes I wonder where this greatness comes from.
Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that little notifications bell as well to make sure you get notified every time we put up a new episode. If you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to take a little screenshot, chuck it up on your story. Let us know that you're listening. We'll give you a share. We'll mention you in the next podcast. If you do have topics for us, put those in your story as well. I'm your host, Steve, and you can find me on Instagram at SteveNorman250. This is my co-host, Andy. You can find him at Train with Andy on Instagram, and you can follow us if you're not already, which you should be, at the Uneducated Opinions on Instagram. At Uneducated Opinions on Instagram, but it'll all be on the screen when you're watching on YouTube.
Oh, now it has to be.
Yes, now it has to be. Alrighty, guys, thanks for listening. See you next week.
Bye.